Ms. Thompson, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
You can put your hand down, say your name.
Marcia Thompson.
Ma'am, have you had enough time to talk to your attorney about the advantages and disadvantages of testifying in these proceedings?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with your attorney's advice?
Yes.
Do you understand that though your attorney may advise you as to her opinion concerning what is in your best interest, it is ultimately your decision and your decision alone as to whether or not you should testify?
Yes.
It is my understanding that you have decided to exercise your right to testify in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you do not have to testify in this case if you do not want to?
Yes.
You have a constitutional right to remain silent?
Yes.
No one can force you to testify. Do you understand that?
Yes.
If you do not wish to testify, no one can force you to do that. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And the converse, if you do wish to testify, no one can prevent you from testifying. You understand that as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Your attorney has advised that you wish to testify. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is anyone forcing you to get you to make this decision?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone made any promises to you to get you to make this decision?
No.
Is anyone threatening you to get you to make this decision?
No.
Are you currently under the influence of any drugs or alcohol?
No.
Do you have any mental or emotional conditions that would affect your ability to understand what is happening here today?
No.
Are you making this decision of your own volition, meaning that you are wanting to make this decision?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you understand that you have the absolute right to remain silent?
Yes.
It's entirely the state's burden to prove each element of the charge?
Yes.
You do not have and are not required to prove anything?
Yes.
Okay. And you do not have to testify on your own behalf?
Yes, ma'am.
Nonetheless, you wish to testify?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you also understand that if you choose to testify, that if you have any prior felony convictions or convictions concerning crimes of dishonesty, the state can inquire as to that?
Yes, ma'am.
If you do wish to testify, the state is entitled to cross-examine you,
Yes, ma'am.
to impeach or challenge your credibility.
Yes, ma'am.
Understanding all of this, is it still your intention and your desire to testify?
Yes, ma'am.
The court finds that Ms. Thompson has knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently exercised her right to testify, and she is doing this of her own volition without coercion or threats. We are going to bring in the jury.
2 more minutes, I want to do the first.
Okay. We'll bring in the jury when the jury's ready. Ms. Thompson, you can change your mind up until one of the clerks swears you in. Once they swear you in, then you're proceeding to testify, okay? We'll take a break. Do I need to step off the bench or
If you want, he's going to be 5 minutes, he's taking it over.
a restroom break? All right, 5 minutes, and then we'll resume. A deputy will come get me when we're ready.
Court's in recess. Order?
Please be seated. Are you ready to bring in the jury? Yes. Ms. Michelli? Yes. Just find a good breaking point around the 4:30, 4:45 mark, and then we'll, actually 4:45 mark, so we can get at least a half hour's testimony. Deputy, can you bring in the jury, please? can do that. Just try and do it as quickly as possible, because deputy doesn't give me much warning when he says jury approaching.
Jury entering.
Ms. Aurelio? Please be seated. Ms. Thompson, or Ms. Michelli, please call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Marcia Thompson, the defendant, to the stand.
Ms. Thompson, please raise your right hand. Prepare to be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Ma'am, please take the stand. Ms. Michelli, do you wish to inquire?
I do, Your
You
Honor.
may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Thompson, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay. Keep in mind, we can take breaks. There's a tissue box, okay? Ms. Thompson, please tell the jury how old you are.
I'm 44,
Where were you born?
North Miami, Florida.
Where did you grow up?
In Miami, North Miami Beach area.
What was your profession up until August of 2019?
Customs and Border Protection Supervisor.
Now, you said you were a supervisor. Is that your position that you held?
Yes, the official is Supervisory CBP Officer.
Now, I know border protection is not border patrol.
Correct.
Okay, so they're two different things?
Yes.
What is border protection? What was your mission at your job?
My last station was here at the Port of Palm Beach at the seaport, and we were in charge of the cruise ship that traveled to the Bahamas. So checking the people, their documents, their luggage, and then the flights that came into the airport here at Palm Beach.
When did you meet Terry Thompson?
I met him in 2000, the year 2000.
In what context? Like, how did you guys meet each other?
We were both at the University of Florida at the time.
What year were you in? Were you a freshman? Were you a sophomore?
That was my junior year.
And how old were you?
I was 20,
How old was he?
32.
Had he been in the military prior to going to college?
Yes,
Is that why you're both in college, but he's a bit older?
yes.
Did you start dating right away?
No.
You met in the context of friends, or what was the meeting like?
He was the vice president of the Criminology and Law Honor Society that I was a member of.
Were you friends first?
Yes,
And how long before you started dating?
about a year.
Once you started dating, how did you feel about him?
His uniform is what caught my eye first. He was confident, he was charming, he was funny. And he was the first guy who ever really took an interest in me.
Before that, had you had a boyfriend?
No, no,
Any prior experience with intimacy with men?
no.
Why do you think that is?
Objection, relevance?
Response.
I'll move on.
Okay.
What was the relationship like at first?
We would do a lot of fun things with the group at school, the honor society. They would hold events outside of school. He had 2 young children that that would help him watch sometimes and do stuff with.
Those are from a prior marriage, those children?
Yes.
How tall was Terry Thompson?
He was 6 foot.
How much did he weigh?
He went between 225 to 240.
How long after you started dating did you notice any signs that the relationship was changing?
Probably a few months in, if I missed his call, he would be upset, questioning where I was, who was I with. He expected me to be available to him at all times, and he was very jealous on if I had any male friends and who I did things with.
Now, when you say he expected you to be available for his call, does that include even if you were in classes?
It didn't matter where I was. It could be class, 2 a.m., 5 a.m., whenever he called.
Did you try to answer those calls?
Yes,
Even if you were in class or
Yes.
asleep?
yes.
What would happen when you didn't?
He would be very upset, and he would question me on what I was doing, who was I with, why didn't I answer the call, and usually want to know if I was with some guy that I hadn't told him about.
When you say very upset, was he screaming?
Yes,
Were you screaming back?
no,
So it wasn't like the kind of tumultuous relationship where you're both really angry and screaming.
no,
Have you ever screamed at him?
never,
Not even in the beginning of the relationship?
never,
And not at the end either?
no.
Were you guys living together?
We lived together for a brief time when I finished college. He let me stay with him because there was a few months between when I was leaving for the U.S. Customs Academy at the time.
Other than that, were you not living together?
No,
Was it common throughout the relationship that it would be long distance?
yes.
Why is that generally?
Well, because we were both in college. He graduated a year before me. He had a job locally for a little while. I got accepted with U.S. Customs after I graduated the following year, and my station was going to be in Miami. He was still up in the Gainesville, Lake City area. And then he got activated into the military stateside in 2005 into South Carolina.
Whenever the relationship was long distance, were you always still together in a relationship?
Yes.
Were you ever out of the relationship where you were dating others?
No, not me.
Did the calls at night and throughout the day, did that get worse? Did that increase?
It did.
Did you start to be deprived of sleep?
Yes.
Can you explain?
So there would be a lot of calls at 1, 2 in the morning where he would be driving and said that he wanted to talk. So initially it started with me just talking to him to help him stay awake while he drove from one place to another. That's how it started.
And during these times, were these times where you had to be up in the morning to do something, whether it's work or school?
Yes.
And how did that affect you?
It was hard to focus. I would fall asleep driving a lot, where I could feel my neck snap back from where I could feel I fell asleep. I would make some mistakes on when I was at school for assignments or at work, just hard to remember a lot of things that I had to do.
Now, at that point, had Terry Thompson ever laid a hand on you? A physical violence?
And not while we were in college, no.
Did he ever throw things at you?
He did in my direction.
Like what?
He threw a pill bottle that was on his counter once when he was angry.
And were you scared?
Yes.
How did you feel about the state of the relationship at this point?
At the beginning, he was my first boyfriend. He was a lot more confident than me. He had a lot of opposite traits than me that he helped kind of sometimes would show me stuff, teach me things. So the throwing, of course, scared me, but I was able to calm him down pretty quick at the beginning.
Did you ever object to his behavior? And what I mean by that is, did you ever say, hey, you don't treat me that way?
No.
Did you ever say, honey, maybe you shouldn't treat me, like, maybe you don't talk like me, maybe you said it in a much nicer way. Did you object in a nice way to his behavior?
No.
Did you ever tell him that any of the things he was doing were not acceptable or he needed to stop them?
No.
Why not?
He had told me a lot of stories about how his previous wives had mistreated him, and women continuously mistreated him and respected him and questioned him. And I'm more conservative and little submissive, so I didn't think it was like my place to question him or to give him a lot of questions back at the beginning. After that, he would get angry anytime I even attempted to maybe say something. It wasn't going to be a question, but even just a comment.
Okay. So we've gotten into the first few months of the dating. You knew each other a year, then you started dating, you're dating a few months, these behaviors are going on. Are they increasing over time?
Yes.
At any point, did the relationship become physically abusive?
Yes.
Now, before we get to that, up until now, had there been any berating?
Yes.
Okay. And was that based on your looks? What was it based on?
Usually it was how I dressed or how I'd had my hair done.
Would that make him angry?
Yes.
Okay. At any point, did the relationship become physically abusive?
Yes.
And by that, I mean where, not just talking and not just saying anything that could sound violent, but actual touch.
Yes.
And approximately when was this?
Approximately 2006.
Where were you when this happened?
This was in South Carolina in a hotel.
Were you guys on vacation, or or did one of you live there?
He lived there and I had traveled to visit him.
And at this point, you guys have been dating about 5 years?
Yes.
You're not married, correct?
No.
What happened?
So I went on a planned visit to see him, a planned trip. And he had said his place was very dirty and he didn't want to bring me into where he was staying at when it was dirty, so we got a hotel that he'd like to stay at.
Once you were at the hotel, were you spending time together?
Yes.
What were you guys doing?
We had had dinner, went back to the hotel, and he wanted to have sex.
Okay. Did you agree?
Yes.
What happened next?
He started to have sex. Then he started questioning me on why I didn't answer his phone calls last week.
Okay. Was there a time where you didn't answer his calls?
Yes.
Were you with another man?
No.
Did you try to explain to him what had happened?
I did.
Okay. Had you already explained to him previously what had happened?
Yes, because he had already questioned me about it when it happened.
Was he mad?
He was extremely angry.
Okay. And what happened next?
So he started questioning me. He didn't believe me that I was working. That's what I was doing at the time when I couldn't answer him. Then he got a lotion bottle. He got a lotion bottle and he put it into my vagina.
Did you want that to happen?
No,
Did that hurt?
it did.
Did you fight back?
No.
What else happened?
He punched me in the stomach and choked me.
When you say he choked, did he wrap his hands around your neck?
Yes.
And how long did he leave it there? I'm trying to get an idea of how it happened.
I don't know, probably a few seconds.
Okay. Did it stop you from breathing for those few seconds?
I couldn't breathe for a few seconds, yes.
Okay. Was that the first time he ever sexually assaulted you?
Yes.
And is that the first time he ever physically hurt you?
Yes.
Did you get up and run away?
No.
What did you do?
He told me to get a rag to clean him off when he was finished.
Did you do that?
Yes.
And what happened next?
He went to sleep.
What were you thinking at this time?
I was in shock. I couldn't believe what just happened. I didn't know what to think.
Did he apologize to you?
He did.
Was it sincere?
It seemed so.
Did you forgive him?
I did.
Did you break up with him?
No.
Try or threaten to leave him?
No.
Did you ever threaten to leave him?
No.
After that, did the relationship go back to its norm, which is sort of the controlling behaviors, but not physically abusive?
Yes.
For how long?
Probably into the next year.
After a year, was there an occasion where there was another episode of domestic violence, physical?
Yes.
And during that year, was he still emotionally abusive,
Yes.
verbally abusive?
Yes.
Was he controlling you?
Very much, yes.
The next physical episode, about a year later, can you tell me what happened?
He was driving to come see me when I lived in Hialeah, and he called me on the way, on the drive, and again said that he knew I was sleeping with somebody because I missed his calls, and I needed to tell him who it was.
Okay. This is happening over the phone?
Yes.
But how long is this going on before he arrives?
Maybe about an hour, half hour.
Okay. Once he gets there, what happens?
He's still angry. He's trying to get me to admit that I'm sleeping with somebody. I'm trying to plead with him, telling him I'm not sleeping with anybody, I'm not with anybody else, but he won't listen to me.
At any point, are you yelling at him?
No.
Are you doing what you can to appease him?
Yes.
He wouldn't believe you.
No.
What happened next?
He pulled my hair down to the side, threw me to the ground, and kicked me in the stomach.
When you hit the ground, were you hurt?
Yes, it hurt.
How hard does he kick you? He's kicked you. This is the second time he's kicked you in the stomach. How hard are we talking?
It hurt. It was, I was sore for a few days after the kick.
Did you try to stop him?
No,
Did you fight back?
no.
When it was over, what happened?
He apologized, saying that he was sorry for being so jealous. He just didn't want to share me with anybody else.
And you said this is 2007.
Yes,
After that incident, soon after, did you get engaged?
yes.
How long after that incident did he propose?
It was a few months.
And were those months calm in terms of physical violence?
Yes.
Now, going forward after that, how often were you two seeing each other since you were long distance?
About every 6 weeks. I would go all of my days off that were like three or 4 days in a row.
And during these visits every 6 weeks or so, was there an episode of physical violence?
Almost all of them.
And this is going from 2000 until about 2007 until about 2011.
Yeah, there was a break from when we got engaged to like after the marriage, shortly after the getting married.
And otherwise, we're looking at once every about 6 weeks of that time,
Yes,
there would be a physical attack.
correct.
And what would instigate it? And I'm not saying you instigated. I'm just saying what would come up? Like why would it happen?
It typically was that he couldn't get a hold of me on the phone, that it went straight to voicemail, or I didn't respond fast enough to his text message, and that he thought I was cheating on him.
Before the physical violence, how would the argument be? And I'm asking you, like, how much is he yelling? How upset is he? How loud is it getting? Like, describe it to me.
So he's yelling loudly. I don't yell back at him. He would yell for extended periods of time, accusing me of not dressing feminine enough for him, having my hair the way he likes it, how I know how he likes it. And,
Would he call you names?
oh yeah,
What kind of names would he call you?
he would call me a whore, slut, bitch, cunt, a lot of bad names.
And this is what he's screaming at you during these arguments.
Yes.
And when they became physical, and for this I'm not going to ask you about every incident for every 6 weeks, but in general, what were these physical incidents like? What do they include?
Start by yelling, the accusations, and then a majority of them were the hair pulling down to the ground, kick in the stomach, and then there would be choking.
Was it getting worse with time?
Yes.
What about the sexual assaults? How often would that be?
Those were less often, but maybe 3 or 4 times a year.
And did they always include penetration with objects?
Usually, yes.
Would you bleed?
I would.
Would you be physically injured?
Yes, I would.
Would you go to the doctor?
I did.
Other than the injuries you got at the time, whether it be cuts and bruises and pain, were there sort of long-term overtime injuries that you sustained?
Yes, I had herniated disc from being pushed into appliances, thrown to the ground. So it's the repeated abuse. They usually ask me at the doctor, like, were you in a car accident? Like, what trauma happened to you?
Did you ever tell them what was happening to you?
No.
Neck problems?
Back problems and neck problem.
Okay. Chronic pain?
Yes.
Did you have to be treated or did you ever take care of this?
They usually gave me injections to help with the pain. And then in 2020, because he didn't want me going to the doctor, the only time I was able to go to urgent care was when I could barely move, so I wouldn't be able to work if I didn't do something. And I was able to get the surgery in 2020.
In 2020, what surgery were you able to get?
It's ACDF to fuse the herniated disc in the neck.
Has that helped with your pain?
It has, yes.
During these incidents, would you be screaming and crying?
Crying, and a few incidents I did scream, just, I couldn't help it, but it wasn't screaming at him, just because of the injuries.
And how did he take that?
He did not like it. He couldn't stand me crying. He said I was trying to manipulate him.
Would that make him go at you even harder?
Yes,
Did you try everything you could not to cry?
I would try, yes.
Okay. Did you try to not scream?
Yes.
You talked about Terry Thompson having other children that you were involved with and that you also took care of in the beginning. Is that right?
It helped him, yes.
Okay. So you were aware that he had been previously married.
Yes.
And at first, did you know of any abuse in those relationships?
At first, no.
What did you think went on in those relationships?
Rephrase.
What did he tell you went on in those relationships?
He told me that the women were trying to keep his kids away from him.
As the years went on, did he tell you differently?
Yes.
What was the first thing that he revealed to you in terms of his prior violence?
The first thing was how he attacked his ex-wife with a machete and threatened to kill her and slit her throat.
What's her name?
Marcia Thompson.
In what context did he tell you that?
When he was accusing me of cheating and wanting me to tell him the truth, he said, I will hurt you like I did Melissa.
And then he gave you those details?
Yes.
Approximately where are we in the relationship when he first tells you that? And I mean, give me a year where you first learned about this.
This was after we were married, so it would have been 2009.
What is his second wife's name?
Well, Melissa is the second wife.
And she's the first one you found out about?
Correct, yes.
What is the next thing you found out about?
About his first wife,
What's her name?
Christine Thompson.
And initially, he had told you that she was just keeping the kids away, and that was the problem between them.
Yes, that she would they had one daughter, keep the daughter away, and that she would go to his job at corrections and disrespect him and act crazy out in front of the workplace.
And what did he state later?
He stated later that he threatened to kill her as well to keep her in line.
Did he initially reveal this during an act of abuse toward you?
Yes.
And why was he telling you this?
He was trying to scare me, and it worked. He said that he would get away with what he was doing to me just like he did them.
Approach. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end for today. Please be back here tomorrow at 9:30.